Good afternoon and welcome to the channel. My name is SilentBlade1066 and today I'm going to be doing a small little game review over Elder Scrolls Online. For those of you just tuning into the channel and have no idea what Elder Scrolls is, or what the Elder Scrolls series is, I will leave a link in the description with information for you to read. But before I begin, I would like everyone to know that this is a personal review, not a statement. I'm not discrediting the game, and I'm not telling you not to play it. That is up to you. This is just what I found and what I believe, as well as what I researched. Now, I'm going to be talking about two main points, the mechanics of the game, as well as the player base, and why it kind of fell in the first half of when it was released. But before we begin, I'm going to have to explain what Elder Scrolls Online is for those of you that know the Elder Scrolls series. For those of you who know Skyrim or Morrowind or even Oblivion, you all know that Bethesda as well as ZOS have released a MMO game called Elder Scrolls Online, which everyone was hoping for, believing it to be an online version of Skyrim. Much to those people's disappointment, it was not. What they found instead was a cookie-cutter cutout of any MMO, aside from the fact that you were able to create your character as well as morph his face, which was new to most MMOs. And though this was the case, it was new, it was great, it was a wonderful idea, there were major problems with the mechanics, such as the fighting style, as well as the battlegrounds. You see, when you start the game, you start off as a prisoner, or a lower-than-low, stereotypical start for an MMO. You escape, you fight the man holding you, and then you continue on your way for the main storyline. When you escape your prison, you find this massive battleground where you expect to find your non-player friends as well as player friends fighting it out against a large army of enemies. Sadly, this was not the case. Once you escape the prison, you find small groups and babbles of enemies and allies constantly swinging it out until you interrupt. Gave no insight for you to stop it, for none of them are going to die. All you had to do is run by unless you want to level up, which you're going to find is a very simple case along the game. You can level up like crazy, because in the tutorial, you kill one skeleton, you're getting half the XP. Now, moving on to the fighting style, we all know that in the original Skyrim and Oblivion games, you had three fighting styles. The archer that stealth and made the game 10 times longer than it had to be. The warrior that swung the sword right and left. And then the mage that used the extremely powerful spells for like 5 seconds and then had to retreat. But Elder Scrolls Online took it to a new level. Each attack was the same. And then every spell that your enemies used were extremely useless. They weren't going to hurt you. And when they came up, they literally one way, over and over again. And then when you killed them, they fell down. There was no pizzazz to it, like in Skyrim as well as Oblivion, where there was ragdoll physics as well as a slide friction and all that. It made the death look realistic. Here it wasn't. And on top of that, the loot was minuscule, even for bosses. After a while, after 20 hours of me playing it, I discovered that there was no real reason for me to even kill a boss, aside from just getting it done. After 20 hours of me playing Elder Scrolls Online, there's no point. I would go through a dungeon, which is an extremely dull cavern or castle. Like, there's no color, there's nothing to it. And I would kill these little cannon fodder. They would drop money and small, rare weapons. And then I'd get to the boss, I would kill him, and he drops the same things. That was it. There was no point of me even continuing to that boss. It didn't give me anything epic. All it did was give me slightly more XP and money. So after a long time, you started seeing other players going through dungeons, getting the item they needed, and then dropping out of the dungeon. You wouldn't get a whole team to go through the whole dungeon unless they were your friends. Which brings me to guilding. There was no point to form a guild. Everyone got the same stuff over and over again. And when I say guild, I mean alliance. Which, when you get the alliance items, it's extremely easy. And you can get them in the normal game. So the point of guilding up was useless. And it even further took away from the game for me. Now, moving on, I'd like to get into... Sorry about that, there's some sounds off in the hallway. Moving on to player base. I already mentioned it before, how I got bored. Well, obviously, other people got bored. When the game was released in 2013-2014, it made over $1.7 million. It was really successful because everyone was so hyped for it. They were extremely hyped. You saw millions of people playing the game on these servers when it started. And then in 2015 and 2016, you could barely even play on the console or the Steam version and see anyone. You might see one or two people in the same map as you. You'd never find anyone in PvP, and if you did, it was like 5 versus 5. People just started dropping the game because they were bored. Granted, in 2018, the numbers are starting to rise. And they're starting to fix some of these problems. They're adding new things, new races. Granted, it costs money, but they are fixing some of these problems. However, it might be too late to fix those problems. Now, I know you guys are probably wondering, why, if this was released in 2013, 2014, are you giving this review now? Well, that's quite simple. They're going to be bringing out a Fallout 76, which is an online version of the Fallout series. Don't know what that is? I'll leave a description below. I am giving this review to... It's kind of a way to let people know, don't overhype a game, as well as don't expect too much. What mainly killed Elder Scrolls Online in the first year was so many people expected this to be like Skyrim 100%, and they were disappointed. So when Elder Scrolls 76 comes out, I'm going to play it. Even though I had a bad experience with Elder Scrolls Online, I'm going to play Fallout 76. But I want everyone to know that it's either going to be really great or not as great as we want it. Do not overhype it. You can be hyped and be excited, just don't hold it to a massive standard as the original game. I hope Elder Scrolls Online, as it's still up and running, they managed to fix everything that's wrong with it. You might not agree with me on my synopsis, but again, that's up to you. I'm not discrediting the game. I'm just giving you my personal opinion. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe. This is the only time I'm probably going to do a game review like this. The rest of the time is going to be gameplays. And I will see you guys next time. Hasta la vista, and thank you.